Hi guys, and welcome back to Big Data for Engineering. So in this tutorial, we go into build more ETL pipeline on AWS. Particularly, we will work with AWS Glue here, including the AWS Glue Catalog Data and trying to do some transformation with the data using AWS Glue Studio. We can also show you guys how to deal with the transformation data using the EMR. So previously we put up the EMR cluster to run the notebook, but we can also use the EMR as a step function to transform the data, just running a Spark application or MapReduce application on there without like putting up the whole cluster. Then next we go into trying to connect the data with Athena. And of course, you know about Athena from previous tutorial on how we can query data on that. And then I'm going to do the visualization, not in QuickSight, but I'm going to show you guys how to connect Athena with Power BI on desktop here so that we can uh, do some visualization on Power BI. So just a little bit explanation here. I'm not going to go with the stuff that included here. First of all, like they introduce different way to transform data using normal AWS Glue and Glue Studio and Data Preview here and EMR. I'm just going to introduce the Glue Studio and the EMR, not the first one. So the first one they're using the um, Amazon SageMaker notebook to transform that. There's a lot of bugs in their code and I'm not in the mood to fix the bug, so I'm gonna skip that. Feel free to try out and fix their bug if you want. Then next thing, we do have limitation on our AWS account. That is why I'm going to skip the data preview and quick size. So by now you must have been questioning like if AWS Educate has so many limitations, why I still insist on trying to show you guys using this account. The main reason is during this time, a lot of students approach me with financial difficulty. I also receive email from admin saying some of your schoolmate has to postpone their study because of financial difficulty. That's why I'm kind of try to not put in more financial stress on you guys just for the tutorial bit. If you have the resources to use a normal AWS account to study, that's great. But if you don't have it, I don't want that to be the barrier for your learning. That's why I'm trying to still go in with the AWS Educate account, even though it's a lot harder. Okay, so that's just some side story. Now going back to the stack here. Of course, at first we go into ingest data using Amazon Kinesis. I already introduced Kinesis before. It's basically Kafka. Then we can put the data onto S3, and from S3 we go into build the hauler here, and it's going to store the data in AWS Glue Data Catalog. And then we can use the hauler to put it back to Athena. Sorry, not the hauler, the Athena query to query it. Otherwise, we can use AWS Glue Studio. So whether you want the normal Glue endpoint or Glue Studio or data pool to transform the data, put it back into S3 and then put back to the data catalog here. Otherwise, you can use the EMR here to do the data transformation. And from Athena, instead of going to QuickSight, I'm going to show you guys how to connect to Power BI, and I'm going to skip the Lambda function here because we actually not uh, connecting to any application here, so just skip that. Okay, so that's quick introduction. Now let's talk about the ingest layer. So the thing is they don't have a producer here. They going to use um, a fake data generator on Kinesis themselves. I was hesitating whether I should show you guys this or not because I already showed you guys how to use Python on our local development, local computer, which is better for you guys if you guys want to integrate with some other API. But I still do it in the tutorial because I actually want to introduce you guys to cloud formation. Okay, so let's just start it. When we get to cloud formation, I will talk more about that. Now, first thing first, we need to log in into AWS Educate account. Of course, just go to Classroom, then go to the Workbench here. We're actually not working with the AWS command line interface for this tutorial, so you really don't need to connect with the new account detail here, the new session detail here. Just open AWS console so we can work on that. Now the first step is trying to create an S3 bucket. So just put your name here and the bucket and name. So I'm going into S3, create a bucket. Just put my name here. So the bucket name is unique and create bucket. Okay, after that, we go into create some subfolder here. Just subfolder data and reference data underneath it. And we go into download this file here and upload on there. I do have the backup of this file, so just in case they remove the file, you guys still have something to work with. So first subfolder would be data. Then inside data, we create the folder reference data here. Okay, that should be good. And then I'm going to upload this one. Well, I already downloaded, but let's do this again. Should do it in a better way, which means just right click on it and save as. Yep, because I already download that one time, so let's put it inside here in tutorial. And let's try to upload data inside the reference data folder. Inside tutorial here, the checklist just JSON. That should be it. Upload. Okay, the file is in here. Now moving on to the next step, we're going to create the Kinetic file host just like before. And instead of going with the data stream before, so remember the file host is the like the consumer in Kafka, and it can consume the stream from the Kinesis data stream, or it can directly get it from the data source here. Okay, Kinesis. Create the data file host here. And then we just going to click next. Just ignore those things. And then we choose the bucket that we created. And you go into put a prefix if you want. If you don't want, then you can leave it. But let's put the prefix in here. Yep, let's just update this thing. And we go into trying to leave everything as default here. And then we need to create the new IAM host just by default here. Okay, create the delivery stream. That's going to take a while. Let's try to do the next step, which means we're trying to create the kinetic data generator, which will generate the data to input into this stream, not yet into this delivery stream, not coming directly from the producer to another data stream and put it into Firehose. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Basically, we go into use CloudFormation to create the resources that we're going to need. So what is CloudFormation? This is basically similar to a Docker Compose YAML. So it's help you get understand better. So you have a script here in JSON or YAML, and in the script you go into list all of the services that you're going to need and how they connect to each other. And then when you run the script, all of the services going to be created for you. So instead of you going in and then create an IAM role here and then connect it with this service and then go into another place, create a DynamoDB table there and then put it in. So instead of doing step by step like that, you can use a CloudFormation script, either in JSON or YAML here to create everything just in this one. So you can see on the left here, there's a lot of different services that you can put just basically track in here and then trying to connect all of the service together. And inside here, you have the script that basically the configuration of all of the stack here. I have to admit that I'm not a cloud architect myself, so I won't know everything about these things. So unfortunately, I cannot teach you guys about being a cloud architect or how to do this. Most of the cloud architect is a lot of experience, a lot of years like trying out and trying to connect all of these services together. So they know about this. It's really hard to learn and teach it like under 1 year. Okay, so this one just to quickly show you what is actually going on in CloudFormation here. We just got the Lambda function and we got some roles specifically to allow this Lambda function to run, and just leave it. We don't want to update any of that. Okay, leave it. We'll just get us out. So yeah, you can click on this again, or basically what you need is just the last bit, the JSON link here, and put it in. But let's just click on this again. Oops. Let's open it in a new tab. Yeah, basically you just need the link here. Okay, just click next. Now just create a username and password. So just leave admin here and some password, anything that you can think of. Something easy. Please don't use any complicated password. And just click next and click yes. So this is just basically saying that AWS CloudFormation can create a new IAM host for you instead of you doing that yourself. Click create stack. Also, when you go in online and trying to search for a tutorial, a lot of tutorial from AWS, they have the CloudFormation stack, which means then you can just launch the whole stack with one click. Most of them will fail in AWS K account just because of too many restrictions, but this one will work because we only need the kinetic and Lambda function pretty much. So this will take a couple minutes. So while waiting, just let me quickly explain the next one. So one is creating the stack. It will give us the link to the kinetic data generator, and then we can log in with the username and password. We just put in the text, And then in there, we can just use the template. So this template here is just going to generate some fake data again. So just random user ID here, device ID, same device temperature, just some random between this number. The track ID, which means the song ID of the song, and then the activity, whether the person listening to that song is running, walking, walking, traveling, or sitting. So this is again just some fake data. Okay, we have create complete. Then we can go to output here, and you see the link here. Just log in. Again, I would not recommend you guys to use the data generator. Oops, wrong password. Now it's going to kill me if I use the wrong password when I create the formation. Okay, first thing first, update to the regions that we are on, US East 1. Okay, so after that is loading the kinetic file host here, as you can see. If you're in the wrong region, then you cannot find the stream that we created. Yep, we can update this to like 500 per second if you want, or leave 100, totally fine. Okay, just put in the template here and click send data. Okay, we can see the data is being sent to Kinetic. While waiting on that, we can try to check whether the data coming into our S3 bucket. Yep, we got some data coming in the raw folder here, just like this. Okay, yeah, let's leave it up until 20,000. Should be good enough. And stop sending data. And you can close this. We actually don't really need lots of data. And we already done the data validation. So next step, let's try to build the catalog data with AWS Glue Data Catalog. So now we first, of course, trying to create the IAM role. We're going to use the Glue service, and we need to attach attribute and Glue service role to it. And I'm just going to copy the whole name so I don't have to type again. Just create the role here. And I'm going to need Glue. So S3 include execution, not execution, service role. So after create that, let's create the crawler here so that we can crawl the data from S3 to the data catalog. So you can quickly click here, or you can just go here and type in the Glue console. Pretty much the same. Okay, first thing first, let's go inside the crawler here. Add the crawler, add the name, and we go in with the data store, call on folder, then S3, leave this one, then find in the buckets that we have. So basically this one here, and just click next. No, we don't want to add another data store. And we go into choose the IAM role that we just created. Run on demand. Then choosing the database. if you already have the database, you can use that. Otherwise, like add a new database. So we just have the new database name. Let's stick to the name here so that I don't have to remember it. And then just click next. That should be it. Click finish. Okay, the color is ready. Let's just run this one. It's going to take a little bit to start the color here. So just wait for that. While we're waiting for that, we can quickly open the Glue Catalog. Well, you can click on here, otherwise you can, oops, I think it's just, yeah, it's still starting. Just click on the database here, and we see the analytics workshop table already in here. But we don't have the tables yet because the holder is still running. It's still starting. Okay, so I think it's stopped. Let's check if we have the table. So we got the two table here, the whole table with all the schema automatically detected for us. Similarly, we have the reference data table, just like this. So this is done. Now we can move on to the next one, where we trying to query the data on Athena, very similar to previous tutorial. Let's go on into Athena here. And then we just go into put in the new query location for that things. So just create a new budget, say in Athena output. I always forget that I should leave a bucket for Athena. Uh, spacing. Okay, let's try to run this again. That should be good. We got a lot of data coming in. You can try to do some group by activity here, like there's a chess. Oops. Yep, so there's just some count of by activity. Okay, so that's good. Now let's move on to try some of other function in AWS Glue. So the one we're trying today is the Glue Studio here. So basically, Glue Studio is just a visualization, not visualization, a graphical way for us to try to do some data transformation. Let's say like that. It's a web basing, not the Glue thing here. Yep, this Glue Studio here. And just create a new job. So I'm click on the job here and create a new one with blank canvas. So this is where we're going to connect the data and do some transformation using the graph here. So I'm choosing the AWS S3 bucket as a data source here. So either you can choose the S3 location or data catalog, since we already have the data catalog table. So I'm just going to use that for here and add in another one, reference data. Now let's try to do some transformation. I'm going to do the chart here, and I'm going to add these S3 in as well. And in the transform here, I need to add the condition to tell it which which we go into chart on the track ID here, and oops, just one condition. After that, you can do all the transformation here if you want, even some of the few missing value, which we talk about in the data quick one. Yeah, let's do apply mapping. So with applied mapping, I'm just going to drop some of the partition column here. We don't need them. We don't need this doc track ID here. And just double check. Okay, we need this one to be a string. So that's the apply mapping. That should be it. Okay, after that, we go into put this out to a S3 location as well. So just AWS, Amazon S3 here. We go into use bucket compression here, and then just have a folder that we had before. I'm just going to copy it from here so I don't have to type it again, and just put it here so I can easily update my name before I can put it in. And we go into create table and update the schema. So we choosing this database here, and the table name going to be process data 2, just like this. You can view some of these things as well. Anyway, so that should be it. Now, if you click save on this, you got the error message, not error message, but just an alert saying that you haven't input any job detail and I am home here. I'm going to use the job details that they have here so that I don't have to remember. In the one that we just created before, we're going to use Spark, Glue, and Python. We don't need 10 workers, just 2 of them. One retries, and 16 minutes should be good enough. And click save here, which will create the job. Now let's run and waiting for it to finish. Let's go to the run details here, see what will happen. So while that is still running, let's check on the data catalog here. See if we got the table coming in. Not yet. Let's try to open a new tab on S3 as well, seeing if the data is coming in S3. This is the bucket data. Okay, we got the process data too coming in already. That's good. So now in order to see this one, it just take a couple of minutes. Yep, it's coming late, but it's already in here. So that should be it about this step here. So this is one of the steps that you can use on AWS Glue to do some data transformation, very basic one with the studio here. Now if you want to use EMR, let's try to use EMR as well. So these are the things that we can do with Amazon EMR. Instead of trying to put up the cluster, we just going to submit a PySpark job. It's just a Spark job for that. Okay, so now we go into the S3 again, and I'm going to upload the script into the bucket, the EMS bypass script here. Just going to save it inside the tutorial here. Okay, going back to S3, closing this one. Go inside this bucket, and I'm going to upload the. Let's create a folder. I can upload it directly in here. It won't hurt, but let's just make it a bit better than my own file management system. I'm terrible at that, by the way. Upload this one, add files, and I'm just going to drag them over. So the email PySpark here, upload. Okay, now that's done. Let's try to go to EMR and create a new cluster. This time we're going to go with the step execution instead of the normal one. And then we go with Spark application because it's PySpark. And going to configure. So we're going with the Spark application, cluster here. And then we're going to browse the script on this one here. So the script is YAML PySpark here. Select yes. And argument here, then you're going to need to put the name of the folder into the argument. So yeah, the S3 name, bucket name, which is this one here. Yeah, I should save this string somewhere so that I don't have to go back to the script and keep copying it. And if it's failed, then we just terminate the cluster, add to it. Okay, we're going to leave everything as default. Just create a cluster here. Again, very similar to all the EMR things. It's going to take a while, a little bit faster than put up the EMR cluster, but still going to take some time. Meanwhile, let's try to show you the script here. So it's very simple. It's going to do some data transformation using PySpark SQL here. Just querying the data from the whole folder here. The schema is attached for both the whole and the reference data. So when them all together, we do the churn very similar to the way that we do it on the studio. Then after that, we just write back to the bucket here and put that onto the email process data file. So that's why I say all of this is just showing you guys different way that you can do the same ETL pipeline. Okay, is starting, which means it's going to take maybe 5 minutes to start, and then another couple minutes to run the job, and then a couple more minutes to terminate it. Well, we don't have to sit here and wait for that. Just leave that running. It's going to take a while. And after it's finished, then you can just validate the data inside the S3 buckets. And then you can run the glue crawler again to get the data inside the database. So that's to explain you guys with some of the steps there. Okay, while waiting for that, let's just talk about the next step where we go into do some analyze with Athena. This one you already know, just run some SQL query. But after that, when we trying to connect Athena with the Power BI, so basically you need to go to Power BI desktop download if you don't have Power BI already. So just download them if you want. Well, if you don't have a lot of empty space left on your laptop, then just watch it. This is not actually required for anything. So this is just me showing you extra thing you can do. So download Power BI desktop. Okay, then after that you need the ODBC driver to connect Athena and Power BI. So there's the documentation on AWS, which include the link to the driver here. Please download the one that's suitable for your operation system. I already downloaded and installed it before, but I remove it so that I can install it again to show you guys. Just on the ODBC. For the Power BI, you can easily install it. Not really taking that long time. Well, consider the internet in Vietnam is going to take a long time to download Power BI anyway. Okay, this is going to take a while. Yeah, the glue job that we run before is succeeded. We really don't need to stay in here. Let's go to the catalog instead. Let's close the studio as well. In here, we still got only 3 tables because this one has not done yet, which means inside the bucket here, you probably still don't see the EMR process data yet. Okay, let's wait. Yeah, even though I cut out a lot of my video, it's still a bit boring. Sometimes I will forget to cut out some part. You guys probably get sick of me talking random shit during waiting time by the end of this course. Yay, it's moved to running, which means only a few more minutes. The sweep should be really quick. Okay, we got some data coming in already. Success. This is very similar to the the way that you see any Spark application one. So you got a success, a status file, and then some of the partition file here. Checking back here, it should be terminated. Yep, it's already terminating. We don't need to wait for that. Okay, going back to the Glue catalog here. If you just refresh on this one, you probably won't see it coming in. We need to run the crawler again to hold the data. So just run this one. Okay, starting. Oops, should not click randomly on things. I was thinking. Okay, well, most of these taking a long time to set up, but once you get it all set up, it's kind of okay to deal with big data. It's just like the Kinesis, like you can easily send 1,000 records per second. So if you multiply that by 60 seconds per minute and then second per minute, that's going to be a lot of data for every day. Okay, we got everything coming in, including the script and also the email process as well. Okay, just ignore all of that. Moving on, let's try to see things in Athena again, even though I know you guys are very familiar with Athena, but let's just try to show that. So in Athena, then we're going to go with the process data 2 here, one query. Yeah, you see here some of the count of the songs by artist name. So Imagine Dragon has most of the songs. Then going down here. Okay, you guys know about sequence, so you guys can easily go with this. Okay, other thing that we can trying to count the track name by this one. Process data 2. Yep, so device ID, track name, the number of time it's got listened to. Okay, all of these are really good. Now let's move on to the fun bit where we're trying to connect this one with Power BI. So if you already download the ODBCs for the Athena, yeah, I download a lot of different things here, but basically it's going to be the Athena, Simba Athena 1.164 bits if you on Windows. Just on this one. Next. Yes. Next. Leave the default. install. Should be really quick. Yes, finish. Okay. So I already tried out the ODBC for DynamoDB, but unfortunately the version I found is on Simba, they requires you get to purchase the license, and the free trial license going to expire in 20 days. That's why I didn't want you guys to go with that stack there. So just stick with Athena for now. Okay, now let's set up the ODBC. So once you install it, for me, like for Windows, like you just type ODBC and then checking if the driver is in here. If it's in already, that's good. Now, if you want to set up for only the user, the current user, use this one. Or if you want to set up for everyone, then just use this one. Okay, sorry. Yeah, let me remove the two that I already have here so that we start from scratch. Add a new one and just call it test connect Athena, for example. Don't need to be that long. I'm just being stupid. US is one, and then AWS catalog, output location, and just put your S3 here, the output for that one, and then just going to set the authentication type. So we go in with the default credential, which is automatically detect from our AWS credential. So you're going to need this string here from the account details, and just going to put that inside the AWS here. Okay, let's test the connection. Success, that's good. Just click OK. Okay, and now let's just turn on Power BI. Power BI. Close this one. Get data from another source, another show. In here you see that Power BI has the ability to connect to a lot of different apps. Well, many of them are Azure because it's Microsoft, but still you can see a lot of other services available to be connected to here. Well, Tableau does have a lot of connector as well, but for the free version, they don't have that ability to connect to many things. Okay, I'm looking for Athena. Connect here. Okay, this is just a warning because this is still under development. So basically, AWS just announced this type of connector together with Power BI in July this month, so this is relatively new. I'm always trying to look for the new thing to test out. So this is just test connection antenna, the one that you just named before. You have the ability to import or direct query. I'm just going to go with direct query here. And then he say we haven't signed in yet. Just use the data source configuration to sign in. Click connect. Test connection antenna. I thought I had that. Okay, I was using the wrong name. This is totally my fault. Test connect antenna. Yeah, that's why I should not have the long name. Okay, that's working. Just going into the catalog here. select the tables. For example, let's just select the process data 2. Let's wait until the preview showing up. Well, we really don't need to wait, but let's just see. Okay, all of the data is here. Let's just load them. Now let's try to do some visualization. For example, if I track the artist name over here, Power BI can automatically detect some data. For example, now if I'm going to do the cluster bar chart or column chart, let's say like that, and put the track name into the value here, it's just going to count, automatically detect that I want to count the track by the artist. So we see here, yep, just from this one, imagine Trajan will listen to the most out of this data set, more than 1300 times. Other track was listened like less time than that. Okay, so the purpose of this tutorial was not to teach you guys how to use Power BI, but if you want, feel free to take this chance to try out some visualization in here. Inside here, you have the ability to write a script. So if you're familiar with R or Python, you can write the script yourself to do the visualization. Other than that, like then out of the box visualization should be good enough. They cover all of the basic type, including some tree map or some map here. Okay, that should be it about today's tutorial. Now let's move on to the final fun bit, which is trying to do the cleanup. Yeah, I know cleanup is never be the fun thing, but should be. Yeah, just leave on the Athena table. I'm not really interested in delete them. So first of all, we need to delete the file host, the delivery stream here. We don't need that anymore. We need to delete the lambda function if you already have the lambda function. Ignore the name here because we skip some step here. That's why we don't have the name. Okay, let's delete the clue database and color here. I don't remember what I did with these, but let's just delete them all. And color, delete. Okay, kinesis done, lambda function done, clue done. And I think we need to delete the clue studio. So why we still in here? Delete the clue studio job as well. And we don't touch data preview, so skip that. We don't touch SameMaker and don't touch this one. Well, we did touch some of the IAM wrong here. So just search for anything that's related to the workshops and delete it. Then S3, we can leave S3 later. Let's do the cloud formation stack first. And the user pool, if you have the data generator from here. If you use the producer, then don't need this one. So delete this stack here. and user pool. Just because we click his link, so we going to be redirect to the wrong region. Just go back to our regions and delete this one. This is going to take a while. You don't need to really stay here to wait. Yep, just refresh it. So that's done. Okay, that should be everything. Like if you want to go to the painful of entry, you can sit here and see me go into that as well. Other than that, we are good to go. So just recap of what we did today. We just go into some of the sample using the AWS Glue for ETL pipeline. Of course, we still have Kinesis at the ingestion data layer and some of the ETL here using the Glue data catalog and using the Studio, Glue Studio and EMR as well. And I also go in from Athena to Power BI, so that give you guys some option to do visualization. Okay, so for assignment 3, feel free to do any of the stack. Like you don't need to stick to one thing or another, doing whatever you feel like. Oh, talking about stack, cloud formation is something we introduced here today as well. Well, if you want to be cloud architect, go for cloud formation. Anyway, thank you all for joining me here today. I should stop before I'm talking too much about random shit. I see you guys next time. I think by the time you watch this video, supposedly we will have a guest lecture next week, so I will send out email on that later. Okay, see you guys.